bird song. Very active this morning. Well, I've got a busy day ahead of me today. As is tradition, when we have our chicken day where we dispatch our chickens for the freezer, we'll have 2 or 3 of those a year depending on what's happening during that year and how many we do. Anyway, I'm making stock from the bones really quickly, roasting off the bones, and then I'm going to get these in the slow cookers all day because I've got other things I need to get done in the meantime too. If you caught that video, you'll have seen that we did 13 birds in total. Some of them are still whole in the freezer, some of them were jointed and portioned, a couple of them were spatchcocked. If you're squeamish about this kind of stuff, maybe skip forward just a little bit, but I'm going to be roasting up the necks at the same time as the carcasses, and I've also got for the spatchcock chicken that Stephen did, the 2 spines that came out of there as well. I know people get a bit ooh about that kind of stuff. It is full of goodness, and to be quite honest, of how we feel here on the Smallholding, it's the best way of making full use of all of the bird. So this is what it looks like at the moment. As I say, if you don't want to see this, just skip forward a little bit and we'll probably be in the garden or doing something else. So all I'm doing is taking my roasting trays, I've put the carcasses in, just covered them a little bit in fat. I've got some onions that I'm shoving in with them, and this bowl here contains the necks, which look a little bit more unsightly than the carcasses probably, but I'm also just going to put those around the carcasses, roast everything together. I will more than likely take the necks out earlier than certainly the bottom bit of the carcass or than any of the others, because these might catch a little bit quicker. There's a lot more meat on the necks than you can use. If you've never seen or never used a chicken neck before, genuinely there is so much goodness in them. I mean, yeah, anyway, I won't do an extreme close-up more than that. So all of these are going to get roasted while I get some other indoor jobs done, and then we will crack on with the rest of the day while they're in the slow cooker and making some absolutely beautiful broth that will end up on the shelves, which will hopefully do us all the way through the winter between this and also the other bones that we've got. I don't know if we'll be doing any more chickens this year. The plan is to, but you know what it's like. We'll see what life happens. As well as the stock, I need to split down this lamb mince that we've got here. You might have caught Stephen's video. If it's not out yet, it'll be out very soon. But we've got this that needs breaking down to put into the freezer. We've already had some. It's absolutely delicious. And I've ran out of vac-pack bags, which is just uncalled for. And I've got just these kind of double seal ones that I'm going to use in the meantime. We'll get through this quite quickly, to be fair, so I'm not too worried that it's not going to be in a vac-pack bag. So that's the next job, and then we'll be able to get outside, honestly. And we got enough chicken fat for a few roasties and Yorkshires in the coming days and weeks as well. I think it's called, is it called Schmaltz?
Just another quick trailer update. The project's moving along. So this morning I've just took all the old number plate off it, all the old wire and loom and lights. I was going to try and get them lights working, but they were absolutely knackered. So we're just going to order a whole new wire and loom off Amazon. I think they're about 30 quid. And you get the new lights and 7.5 meters of cable with a 7-pin plug on it. So that should all work. Pretty easy and simple to fit. And yesterday we managed to get all the brake shoes and all the brakes took apart. But I've been out this morning to try and find some to replace them, and it seems like they don't do them anymore. It's that old. So we'll have to, I've had a quick sit, but I'm not sitting in the house all day looking for stuff on the internet when I've got stuff to do. So we'll have a sit down tonight, try and source a new set of them. If not, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. If there's anybody out there, give us a few hints and tips that people do replacement for old trailers. It'll be much appreciated. The guy in the shop this morning had a catalogue that went back to 92. And they weren't in that, so it predates that, if that gives anybody any idea. So that's where we're at with the wheels and brakes. And just to finish off with the back this morning, I've just popped the worst of the rust is here on the top, where obviously the rain over the time's gathered in this lip. So I've pop riveted it up, and we're going to get a piece of rubber trim that'll just go over the top of that, so that'll sort that problem out. And then now all I'm going to do for today is just get all this surface rust. I've already done that pillar just with the wire brush disc on the grinder. I've just got the surface rust off and any of the flake and paint. To be honest, it's not that bad. It's only the back of it is where the brunt of the problem is really, and even that's not that bad. It's only flake and paint, but might as well do it while it's stuck in the barn. And down the side, all the paintwork down the side and everything, that's all pretty much spot on, so I could probably just rub that down with a wire brush. So all I'm going to do today is get this old paint off and then get outside because the weather's lovely and I'm not staying stuck in here all day.
While Stephen is busy in the barn working on the trailer, which you can probably hear in the background, I've just come over here to have a quick look at what we're going to be doing here. Stephen was actually working on this just the other day.
Another job we need to get done while we're off this week is to clear all this area here, because we need to put the horse on here for a while. Tracy will explain all that, so I just got the donkey work job to do.
So what he was alluding to is the pony is going to be coming over here because this area here is perfect for him being a small pony that's prone to laminitis. He has been happily in that field now for a good few months, and a lot of people are complaining that there's no grass, which is an issue for us in that the short grass that's coming through is the worst type of grass that he can have. Basically, it's like him living in that field, and just if it was us, we'd just be living on cream cakes. Basically, it's just full of sugar, and we've just done the tape measurements for him, trying to stay on top of his weight, which we managed very well during the winter. But yeah, he seems to be just putting it on and putting it on. And so this area here, you might think, oh my goodness, that looks terrible, there's no grass there, what would he live on? That's actually perfect for ponies that are prone to this. So we've never had any of the horses over the years that we've had them all in this area. This will be new for him, it's new for us. As you can probably see, it's covered in sheep muck at the moment. So I'm going to get all of that raked, and then Stephen's going to put some fence posts in. We were gifted from a very good friend of ours. She said, can you make use of some of these fence posts? And she dropped them off. We were like, yes, of course. Electric fence posts, they're the really tall ones as well. So we're going to try and do our best to make this a nice, happy place for the pony. It does mean it'll be separate to Dexter. But to be honest, they haven't been really bothering with each other that much anyway. They both seem quite independent. The sheep are around everybody. But there is one problem that I think we might face, and she is there at the fence, because she tends to jump up at the fence, and I don't want her jumping up and spooking the pony on the other side, but we'll get used to it all. We've got to figure it out. This is the right thing to do for now. It'll be through September until the weather changes. We'll start taking him in. Anyway, that's a good couple of hour job for Stephen and I to do this afternoon.
There we go, we're done with the trailer for today. Got all that loose paint off, back to pretty much the metal, it's all nice and smooth. So Tracy wants it back to green, so green it'll be.
Say, it's not Tracy wants, Tracy gets. Stephen couldn't decide on a colour, so I said green, my favourite colour, and he said okay then.
Tracy wants, Tracy gets. Right, next job on the list, bit of a bigger job, is we're going to do something with this area here. Originally it was our log pile, log store, but as you can see we're really low on logs, but we've got enough for a couple of years, couple of winters already stored over there, already cut. So I think we're going to move all these, store them somewhere else for the next couple of years, let them season off, and we're going to do something with this. So we've been throwing a few ideas about, and we're on about incorporating it into the garden. So since we put the new fence up, thinking about continuing it along here and back, and cutting that bit of fence out that's on the garden, and joining this bit into the garden, and maybe putting a nice seating area in here, or decking or something like that, and then take it a bit further into the garden and join it onto that flower bed that we're on about building. So we don't actually know yet, it's just a few plans threw up in the air, but this gets a lot of the midday sun and afternoon sun over here, so I'm sure we'll make good use of the space. First of all, get all the crap tidied out. It's a machine!
Well, I've dragged Stephen away from his job, which is just over there, to help with this job, which has been a full family event. So everyone's been helping, taking all of the stones from down the side of the workshop, or the back of the workshop there, and we've just put 2 rubber mattings in. We've piled the stones up just in the corner behind Stephen's elbow. They are for future removal, etc. But this is what it looks like. So we will be using this gate for now to come in and out, because that goes onto the car park or out to the front, rather than trying to put a gate in. The electric fence here just found that easy, although Stephen has just said, how am I going to get the lawnmower in? But we'll get to that.
Figure that out.
Anyway, we've just put a 3-line fence up all the way. It's not yet electrified, but it will be all the way around, avoiding this tree here, which isn't poisonous for horses, and avoiding the apple tree, because the whole point is to keep the sugar down for him, and just slightly in of those trees, but they'll still provide shade. They're not poisonous either. This fence here, which runs alongside to our neighbours, does need replacing, but we're just hoping that it's going to work for now, because we're not going to replace it quite just yet, are we, Stephen?
You never get a spade in the ground, it's that hard.
Yay! So before we bring the pony in, we wanted to get this bit of work done just so it's not frightening for him, just literally moving into a new house and the neighbours causing havoc. Anyway, this is having none of it. This route is just ridiculous. Stephen's shoulder, he shouldn't be doing this. I keep saying to him, leave it for another time, but being him, he wants it done. Not wanting to...
God damn it, some...
It's not wanting to move at all. Same as the other ones, if you remember that video.
There's one there, so just go under there. Change position.
We started off with the rope and it was 20 metres long.
Well, we're going to have to invest in some steel cable. Better idea. Right. Might be the last ditch attempt because we're running out of rope.
Yeah, it's lit. Yeah.
There you go. Well, that took longer than necessary. I'll tell you for one good reason. We were chopping the wrong route. We were chopping the root off that tree there, and I think it was only these little ones here that were holding it in. So we were chopping through this massive thick one there to go there. Never mind, my mistake. But absolutely drenched with sweat, hard work. Good job Jack was here to give us a hand. I'm going to shift the rest of them few logs here that's lying there. And I think we'll get the dogs, go to the pub for a pint there. Well, welcome back to a dusty Sunday morning in the barn. Thought I'd come out and make an early start on the winter's barn conversion. You wouldn't feel like it's going to be winter anytime soon, but it'll creep up on us, no doubt. So we've got a few plans in here that we need to get sorted, because last winter we had the 2 horses which took up these 2 stables, and then we had the ducks in the back stable there and the goats in this stable where they're at now. But we need to change things around because we lost one of our horses in February, so we're just going to have the 1 horse in the stable, and we don't really want him on his own in one of these little stables. So we thought we'd extend this back bit into the stable and where the goats are at the minute, and that'll give him pretty much 2 stable sizes, so he'll have all that to run on. So my first job is to get everything cleaned out. So I thought, while I'm in here, I've cleaned out all the chickens, and all this straw in here is clean, so I'm going to put that in there, and then I'm going to move this pallet here. I'm just going to move that forward and join it onto this bit, which will be an easy fix, and then that'll make that all structurally sound, and it'll create like a double stable. But my next job is to take all, well, is to clear all this stable out, which is just being used for storage at the minute. So I have to clear all that, I'll find somewhere to put all that stuff, and then we're going to take down all of the goat's climbing frame and platform and rehouse it on the back wall in here. So the idea being, that platform that's over there will screw up against that wall there and come out this way, and the stairs that are there will go up the front. So this will be their platform here, and it'll be high enough for them to see in there when Sonic's in there for a bit of company. Also, we're going to put some fencing out the front here where Tracy stood, so this gate won't be on. We'll take this gate off and we'll run like a pallet fence to here with a door in here so we can get in and out, and it'll go along to there, and then just finish off on this stable here, so the goats will have a bit of outside space, so if Sonic's out here, you'll be able to see him and interact, and in there. Then, if Dexter catches in the winter, that's a big if, and we manage to get him in the barn, then that'll free up this stable to put him in here. And then for any emergencies, or no doubt we'll get something else during the time, that'll clear up that end stable there for any spares or repairs. So that's the plan anyway. I know it seems like we've got 1,000 jobs on at the minute, but that's how we like it around here. Stressful, we don't know what we're doing.
Sleepless nights.
But one good thing about it is we don't need probably any of this for a month or so we can just flip through the jobs and do a bit here and a bit there. Gives it a bit of variety.
It also gives Stephen sleepless nights because he does this and gets excited and gets on with all the jobs and then lays awake at 2 o'clock in the morning
4:30 hours this morning.
thinking he's got too many jobs on. But ideally, the idea being, as Stephen has said, you know, to create more space across the back there for Sonic the pony so that he's got plenty of walking space, because winter, it doesn't feel like it now when you've got all of the daylight and the warmth, but it's a long, cold, wet winter when you don't have outside space that's suitable for them and they're not ridden, etc. The goats will keep him company. If Dexter's in, they'll keep each other company. We don't have a lot of each animal to keep each other company, so we've got to figure things out from that side. So I think it's going to work out really well, fingers crossed.
Right.
It's always right.
Means action. Right, and just like that, we're all done. So like I said, just move this from here, you can see on the floor where it was, and that's just going to give, I've just put that on to keep the goats out of there because I want to keep that clean because it needs all matting out for the horse. So once he's in, this will come back off and then you'll have all that stable there, that'll be all matted, and then I've got to get all this out of here and mat all this as well to stop him slipping. So now I've got that done, I'm going to let the goats back in, get on tidying that out. Good job.
Dexter's shouting good job.
Yeah?
Dexter's shouting good job.
What's happened?
You're causing a queue, Hazel. Come on. Come on.
Oh yeah, let's have a look.
Your faces.
Schoolboy error, left the goat store open so they got out. So anyway, they're back in. So just for the beady eyes of viewers out there, it still looks a bit wobbly in the middle. It's solid on both ends, but it's still a bit wobbly in the middle. I mean, we're going being overcautious here, but it's probably going to be all right. But when we build this one in here for the goats, there is going to be another section on there like that, screwed into the floor, and then that'll be screwed into that, so that'll give it plenty of structural strength once that's on. But,
yeah, so we've got to remember it's going to be a horse itching his butt on there rather than a goat, so...
But that's it for now and here for building, just getting tidied. Actually, hang on. I don't know. Right, well, back in the barn early Monday morning before it gets too hot. It's already heating up in here. So just working out the framing for the new goat pen. We got it all cleaned out yesterday. Just buttoned these up to see if we're happy with the size of it and everything. So we've had this gate which was on the piglets, which will work fine, so I don't need to make another one of them. So that's a bonus. Just hold that, my glamorous assistant holding the stuff. So this is going to have the frame up to here. These are just the old pagoda posts that we saved. So I'll put a bar across the top, but to keep it rigid, I'm going to put a piece of 2x4 going over to the ridge of that stable there and tie it around it with some screws and some more wood. I'll just make a frame. Excuse me. So hopefully today I'll get all these screwed to the ground. I'll get that in, but I've got no wood, I don't think, to make the framing up there, so that can wait till another day. And then all this is cleaned out. So this will just be empty space for the goats for when Sonic the Pony comes out. It'll give him a bit of company. So we've measured up for the platform for inside here. So that'll go from this mark here and we'll make it to that height so that the one that's standing on top, they'll be able to see the pony in that side. And it'll go to this line here. So that'll be the size of the platform for him with the steps included. And then over here we'll cut some kind of door in and that'll give them access to outside because obviously they won't be able to get out that way. So we'll make some access outside and then we'll build the fence outside so they can get to their grazing areas. But like I said today, I think we'll just get that bit done, get it solid and then call it a day. But Grace has just noticed a problem with one of the chickens, so we'll have to down tools and sort that out first. That one.
Unfortunately, it's not good for that chicken. Something has had a go at her underneath her wing. We won't show it to you because it's not nice. But because her wing looks totally fine on the outside, but underneath something's had a go. It's eaten at the flesh. It's in a bad way. The best thing is to unfortunately put her to sleep. Do sometimes find the chickens can be quite savage. We had one that fell over once. She had some sort of, I'm assuming, brain thing where she was a really, really old bird and she collapsed in front of the others, and they all just attacked her and just started. If we hadn't have physically seen that, luckily for her we were there, they would have just ripped her to shreds. So they are savage. I mean, at the end of the day, they're cannibals, aren't they? So we have seen that happen before. So if maybe she had something, she caught herself or something like that, there was an open area, something could have taken it during the night, taken to her during the night, such as rats or things, or the other chickens. They are brutal, to be quite honest. But anyway, Grace is going to do a full health check of all of them underneath the wings later on when they're roosting. Generally, when the birds are ill, they're kind of quiet and you see them and the necks go funny and they have this particular stance that when they're just laid. But she looked fine, stood up, so who would have known? That was super lucky that Grace noticed.
Right, next job on the list, what we needed to get done was tackle this behemoth behind us. A few weeks ago, I took about 6 or 8 foot off the top, and you can't even tell I've done it. So if you come round this way a bit, you can actually see up there, that's Grace's bedroom just up there. So it's blocking all the light, and it's actually causes a bit of damp as well in the winter. So we need to take it down, but we've just been discussing on how low we're going to take it. So we've got the platform set at this height, plus my waist height. So I think that's what's going to determine where it's going to be. So probably around about here. I don't know if Tracy will be able to, but if she can overlay a picture from when we first moved in, it was a little like 3-4 foot tree. And this is what's become of it in 9 years. So.
And we didn't think it had grown.
No, oh, that's a nice little tree, we'll keep that. Well, this is the result of not pruning it every year. And it's swimming well. Well, that was a lot more work than we thought, but probably from the power of YouTube editing, it only took 1.5 minutes. So that'll make a much better difference, especially in the midday when the sun's up there. Grace's bedroom, get a window open, get some air through the house, and hopefully it'll keep the damp down a little bit. Another job dusted off the list.
Would you like some greens? What are you doing under there? Oh, your legs fell off. Oh, not yours. Throw them over there for when Madam comes in, eh? And with that, another day comes to an end, and August is coming to an end on the Smallholding. It comes with the first whisper of autumn. Days have been well spent, work well done, and the promise of another day on the Smallholding very soon.